Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good wherever you are. Um, Guys, before I get into the video, I want to show you something. Look at that picture above. That's me and my family. That's me there in the middle. That's my brother. That's Salman there. That's Salman on the right hand side. That's my mom, my dad. Thought I'd show you that, share that with you guys. Guys, before I get into the video, I want you guys to smash the like button. It really helps, as you guys know, it really helps the algorithm. It helps, my videos get pushed out to people like yourself. So make sure to smash the like button and make sure to leave a comment as well. The more comments you guys leave, the better for my channel, because obviously, again, it helps with the algorithm. So yeah, my channel of the last couple, 1.5 months has kind of been on the decline a little bit. So all the support from you guys will help me get out there. Guys, just to let you know, it's about 40 degrees. It's the first time ever in the UK that it's been recorded above 40 degrees. That's how hot it is in the UK right now. Never ever have we had a temperature over 40 degrees. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But guys, let's get into the boxing news. And the boxing news is Mike Coppinger says Gennady Golovkin will retire after Canelo Alvarez's trilogy. Let's read out what Coppinger has to say, and then we'll go into in depth on what I think about this. Okay, so he says GG to retire after fight with Alvarez. Golovkin is now 40 years of age, nearing the end of his career. For so long, he'd wanted a third chance, which he's now getting. This is his last chance to settle a bitter rivalry between them. He then goes on to say he's already made tens of millions of dollars, and his best payday yet could be his last. He says Golovkin has already acknowledged that the financial windfall ahead of him will help him secure his retirement, and it would be fitting that the final fight is against Alvarez. Now, before I move on, Golovkin said that Canelo will help him retire financially. I'd like to think that Golovkin would already have enough money prior to this Canelo fight to be secured financially. This is a guy that came to England, fought Kell Brook in a pretty big event. He fought Canelo twice. He fought Daniel Jacobs. And then after the Canelo fights, I'm pretty sure every fight he made, and then he signed a huge deal with DAZN. I'm pretty sure he was getting paid a lot of money. So it does surprise me the fact that Golovkin and even Coppinger here say, well, or Golovkin said that financially Canelo will help me retire in the third fight. Yeah, it's like a pension fund, but I'd like to think Golovkin had already made... He said he's already made tens of millions before this fight. So tens of millions is more than enough for somebody to retire. And I'm pretty sure he must have invested that money well. So I'd like to think that Golovkin prior to this fight had enough money to retire. This would just be the final payday, big payday, which I'm not sure. I'm not totally. I don't agree with it totally. I think there could be paydays ahead for Golovkin. Maybe not as big as this one, but I think there may be. Because Golovkin has also stated that I don't know what I'm going to do after retire. So if he, like I said, I'll come on to that. He goes, this is the fight that Golovkin has been waiting for patiently since his last mega fight against Canelo in 2018. Since the fight, which Golovkin lost by a 12-round majority decision, he slowed his career down to crawl, not taking any risks, facing Demetrius Andrade, Jamal Charlo, Jaime Munguia, and Yanabek Alamakali. Golovkin will need to change his fighting style if he wants to pull off an upset in September, because his habit of loading up on single shots is tailor-made for the Mexican star. To beat Canelo, Golovkin needs to learn how Dimitri Bivol fought Alvarez to try to beat it. Firstly, Golovkin is a smaller guy. Secondly, Golovkin fights a different way. And most importantly, why does Golovkin have to fight a different way when arguably he won both fights? I think that's a ridiculous statement. I thought Canelo won the second fight, but and I thought Golovkin won the first one. But the point I'm trying to make is even the second fight was a horrible fight for Canelo. It wasn't like it was an easy fight. And the first fight was a torturous fight for Canelo. So this sort of thing where Golovkin has to change his style. Why? The first two times when he fought Canelo, he gave Canelo all sorts of trouble. And Golovkin can't fight like Bivol. Bivol's big. He's got bigger levers. He's got, he's got a longer height. He's a lot longer. He's taller. So that you can't fight. And also Golovkin has his own style that he's been doing. He's been fighting a certain way for the last 10 years, 12 years, 15, 16 years. You can't expect him to now become a Dmitry Bivol. That's a ludicrous statement. But here's the thing. For me, I don't know if Golovkin will retire. That's just my thing. And I think Golovkin's statements saying that he doesn't know what he's going to do after boxing kind of make me think that I don't think he is going to retire. I think Golovkin will probably continue. And I think it all depends on how his performance plans out against Saul Canelo Alvarez. If he gets totally demolished, I think people around him will probably say it's time's up. I think if he wins, then obviously I think then he could, even if he wins, if he pulls off an upset, he can go out on a high. He can go out on a high and say, well, I beat the guy. I was always better than Canelo. I got robbed 2 times and then I beat him legitimately. And that's what Marquez did. He went off into the sunset after beat Pacquiao. He made a shed load of money and he thought, forget it, I ain't coming back. I beat him. I proved I'm better than Pacquiao. Even though Pacquiao, they had 4 or 5 fights and Pacquiao, a lot of people thought, it was controversial, but the conclusive way that Marquez finished that sequence of 4 fights that they had with one another was unbelievable. And Marquez thought that I'll retire on a high, and Golovkin could do the same. I just think Golovkin has a lot more hunger. Marquez had a long career and he was old as well. Golovkin's old, but I just think Golovkin's still in his head. I don't think he feels satisfied. I think he feels his legacy is incomplete. Now, a win over Canelo Alvarez may change that mindset, and he may think my legacy is complete. I beat Canelo. I feel I'm the best middleweight of this era. So his mindset might change. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it comes down to the performance that Golovkin has against Canelo. But for some reason, Golovkin is still a unified champion at middleweight. He just said already that he would have secured himself financially after this Canelo fight. Also, he will be at peace. Yeah? He will be at peace. If he has a good fight and loses a close decision, I don't see Golovkin retiring, especially the fact that when Golovkin's aim and goal was always to become the undisputed middleweight champion, and he has 2 of those belts, and there's fights with Andrade and Charlo, potentially, which could be big money fights and money spinner fights for him. I don't know he'll retire after this. Even if he gets beat badly, I don't know if he'll retire after this, because he's still the unified middleweight champion of the world. So, personally, I don't think Golovkin will retire. That's just my opinion. If you're going to ask me, I think the performance that he has, I think will say a lot if he's going to retire or not. But I also think it'll come down to, I also think it'll come down to the fact that how he performs. If he performs well, I just don't see him walking away. I think there'll be a lot of money still on the table, and there'll also be that carrot of the fact that he can win all the belts. Remember, he has 2 belts in the middleweight division, the division which he's ruled for so many years. He has an opportunity to become an undisputed middleweight champion of the world. That might be too good for him to turn down. That might be too good an opportunity for him to walk away from. And that's why I don't know whether Gennady Golovkin will retire from boxing. I think Gennady Golovkin may go on. Like, he is old. He is 40 years of age, and that's old. Especially in boxing, that's very old. Especially when you think about Golovkin, he takes a lot of punches. However, a lot of his earlier fights, he didn't have a lot of mileage because he was bashing those guys up, and they were surviving against him, and they weren't on his level. But the Jacobs fight, the Canelo fights, that they were very, very taxing. And then he's going to have another Canelo fight. We don't know how this one's going to go. I want to point out, you guys made a good point. A lot of you actually pointed this out, which I actually didn't bring up in my video that I did prior, where, Loeffler said that Golovkin should be undefeated. And a lot of you rightfully pointed out that he had a fight with Jacobs that a lot of people thought he lost. And he had a fight with Derevyanchenko, which a lot of definitely thought he lost. So Golovkin could also count himself lucky that really, although he didn't get the Canelo decisions, he probably was lucky in the Jacobs. Definitely the Derevyanchenko fight. Maybe not so much the Jacobs. I thought he nicked the Jacobs fight. But the Derevyanchenko fight, I think he was very lucky. And he can count his blessings there. Because really, that if he had lost that fight, And the reason why he probably got that decision, which he probably feels that Canelo got the decision, is politics and the fact that, Canelo has the judges. Well, the reason why Golovkin probably got the decision against Derevyanchenko was because of the fact that they wanted that third Canelo fight, and it was on DAZN, if I'm not mistaken. DAZN wanted that third Canelo fight. So Golovkin was a politically connected fighter. It's funny how when the shoe's on the other foot, you don't have the Triple G supporters come out and say, well, Golovkin got a decision he didn't deserve. So when all you people come on and hate on Canelo, and yeah, Canelo is the more politically connected fighter, he brings more money. Yeah, Canelo didn't win the first fight against Golovkin. He got, that Golovkin got robbed in that one. I definitely thought he got robbed. But the fact is that Derevyanchenko got robbed as well against Gennady Golovkin. And Danny Jacobs had a very close fight. Yeah, I thought Golovkin won the Danny Jacobs fight, but the Derevyanchenko fight, he definitely didn't win that one. So the point I'm trying to make is that Golovkin was very lucky, because if the right decision was made in the Derevyanchenko fight, this Canelo fight wouldn't be happening. Golovkin wouldn't be getting this opportunity. Golovkin wouldn't be a champion. So Golovkin is very lucky as well, because it's not like Golovkin's had the rub of the green the same reason why Canelo had the rub of the green, because Canelo Alvarez was a politically connected fighter against him, because he was the one that makes the money, he was the cash cow, he was the star, so he got favoritism the same way Golovkin got favoritism against Derevyanchenko. So at the end of the day, for me, this is how boxing is. When you're the politically connected fighter, you seem to get favored. You seem to get the close decisions. Why? Because they know that there's more commercial value in you winning than the other guy winning. Like, if Derevyanchenko had won, that would have totally structured the trilogy. And DAZN, we know DAZN wanted that trilogy badly. So again, I'm not saying, I don't totally say it's all corruption or nothing, but generally we notice in boxing the politically connected fighters seem to get the decisions. So Golovkin in that fight was a politically connected fighter, just like Canelo was a politically connected fighter against him. So at the end of the day, most fighters that are at the top, superstars, they seem to get the rub of the green, because their commercial value is of a high. Basically, their commercial value is very important, because they're going to bring in a lot more money than the normal fighters. So Derevyanchenko is a normal fighter. He's a good fighter, but he's a normal fighter. His market value is nowhere near Golovkin's market value. If Derevyanchenko had won, his fight with Canelo would be nowhere near close to how big Golovkin Canelo would be. So this is the point I'm trying to make, is that DAZN knew that Golovkin and Canelo would blow the socks off it, and for their business, it would be massive. So for Golovkin losing would be a total no-no. And this is the point I'm trying to make, that every fighter, no matter whether it's Jamal Charlo, whether it's Demetrius Andrade, whether it's Golovkin, Canelo, if you are the politically connected fighter, you're going to be favored when it comes to decisions. That's just how boxing has been generally. Adrian Broner, Paulie Malignaggi comes to mind. Many others. Some people say Maidana Floyd. Some people say Castillo Floyd. The politically connected fighter gets the decisions when it's close, generally. Now, why that is, the only, like, Bivol and Canelo was an example of a fight, but that wasn't really close. That wasn't really a close fight, where I don't think they could have robbed it, Bivol there, because it wasn't really a close fight. It was pretty one-sided in favor of Bivol. So the point I'm trying to make is Gennady Golovkin has had the rub of the green, just like Canelo has had the rub of the green. Yes, he might have not had the rub of the green in a fight of the level of a Golovkin-Canelo, because Golovkin-Canelo was a legacy-defining fight for both guys, and Golovkin, he feels his legacy's been hurt by him not getting the rub of the green in those fights. But at the end of the day, that's just how boxing is. But he now gets an opportunity, and here's the thing: you have an opportunity to knock Canelo out. And here's the thing: I don't think boxing should be like that. Like Golovkin, he's got an opportunity to knock Canelo. That's not fair. If Golovkin wins the fight and he deserves the decision, he should get the decision. The fact that he should have to knock Canelo out, that's wrong. That's not good, is it? That's terrible. Why should Golovkin have to be able to knock Canelo out to win a fight? If he wins, he should win. And that's how I think. I think boxing needs to be cleaned up on that sense. I think there needs to be obviously a commission to oversee poor decisions and to ask why these poor decisions and poor cards still, and why it seems like every time that the fighter that is the more politically connected, the bigger name, the bigger star, why he seems to get the close. Are the judges just being swayed by the bigger name? Are they being swayed by the crowd? Is there some pressure? You know, boxing needs to get to the bottom of this, because how many times do we see a great fight and then we see a poor decision, right? It's not good for the sport, because people then start calling the sport corrupt. The sport gets hurt. The sport gets hurt by poor decisions, because they see a fight and we see a guy beat the brakes. We saw Pacquiao batter Bradley and Bradley got the decision. It didn't make any sense. You know, it didn't make any sense. So as Teddy Atlas points out, it can only be corruption, because what else can it be? You know, how can one guy batter another guy and the other guy ends up getting the decision? It just doesn't make sense. Judges can't be that wrong. So yeah, like, that's my take on it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. I'd love to know your opinions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.